Bhante Kusala to deliver today's special Dhamma talk. So, Bhante, please make us all enlightened today.
It's impossible.
Try.
Dear Bhante Santicha and dear Bhante Dhamma Vihari and dear friends in Dhamma in Michigan, in my maybe 20 minutes of Dhamma sharing this evening, I would like to highlight on what actually happened on the day the Buddha became enlightened and why we are celebrating it, why we have all these Vesak lanterns and sharing of food and coming together and practicing the sila and all these things, but what is the reason behind these transformation, these changes that are happening in everyone's life, especially in the Vesak season? So, to put you all into perspective, I think I also would like to highlight that, upon listening to this, you will realize that sometimes those small things, small steps that you take really matter. And you understand it by looking at the life of the Buddha. When he sat under the tree on the Vesak full moon day, he recalled when he was just 5 years old that he sat in meditation. Any child, it's very unusual to sit and meditate. And that's the thing that helped him on the day he became enlightened. He thought, oh, that must be the way, because he went to the extreme of self-mortification and he went to the extreme of luxury and he abandoned those. Because those days, extreme self-mortification was really a thing that they said you can attain moksha when you die with self-mortification. Like if it snows and then you stay outside without going to a shelter and you die because of the strength of the snow, you have attained moksha. So your death is praised because of that. And if you die of starvation, they say that is a good death because you died through attaining moksha, liberation. But the ascetic Gautama, he realized that he has gone to both extremes and it didn't help him. So then he put together what we now call the middle path, Majjhima Patipada Tathagatena Abhisambuddha. What he realized was the middle practice, not going to any extreme. So if anyone comes to a monk asking for help, the first thing we should ask is, are you willing to come to the middle ground? If they are still in an extreme and they are still going down that path, nobody can help them. And the ascetic Gautama, still not the Buddha, started realizing, oh, there is suffering, there is, the overcoming of suffering, and this is why we suffer, and this is the path leading toward overcoming of suffering. This is the basic thing that everybody knows. But it doesn't make much sense. So if you really sit and examine and take one of your current problems into your life, you go deeper into it and you realize, oh, you are a little far away from your reality. Your reality is that you have a life where you have to work, you have to look after your family, you have to do things in order to maintain this body, and that's our reality. We get sick, we go through different episodes in life, and that's the reality. But the problem is our expectations. Expectations are up here and the reality is down here. The gap is always bigger, right? When you bring the gap between the expectations and reality closer, you start seeing the truth. That's what the Buddha did on the day of his enlightenment. He realized, all of these are manyita metam, is mind-made. Mano pubbangama dhamma. Mind creates things the way mind wants. You may not understand it in the first go, Imagine someone who is going through maybe wanting to show their class. I am this, I am rich. That kind of a person comes to the temple, and others notice what is happening. They are actually sympathized by the society, and they don't see the reality as it is. They are just ordinary human beings. When they come to the temple, they should just behave like everybody else. Nothing, no class, no creed, no status is needed in a temple. But in that situation, they are living in a reality that does not coordinate with the reality of other people, and therefore they go through a different kind of suffering that is not known to them, and others also suffer accordingly by trying to understand what is happening between these people and the society around them. Let me go a little deeper. So in the Eightfold Path, if you take the second one, right thoughts, Samma Sankappa, imagine what are the right thoughts, thoughts of loving kindness, thoughts of non-harming yourself or others, and thoughts of letting go. What are the wrong ones? Thoughts of ill will, thoughts of harming yourself and others, and also being attached, not being able to let go. What's the state of a mind of that kind of a person who has thoughts of ill will? They definitely suffer. You get angry, you have ill will towards someone, and you want somebody else to feel it. It's like drinking poison and wanting somebody else to die. It's like having something burning in your hands and wanting somebody else to get burnt. When you realize that, in the middle path, if I am in the middle path, or in that middle path, it says I should be in the right thoughts. Right there, you start to experience relief, letting go, renunciation, something that the Buddha experienced on the day of his enlightenment. He didn't stop it there. He abandoned anger completely, knowing that anyone who is forever angry, like in the American society, they say anger is the answer for everything. I have friends who have always been angry. When doing things, they use anger as a way of getting things done. But then the Supreme Buddha, upon realizing that anger is something to be abandoned and the truth of anger should be seen, he abandoned it. And then what really made him abandon anger was seeing that any past grudges that you are holding or any future expectations of you or someone else is just happening right now. Yadatitam pahinantam appattam chanagatam pachupanam yandhammam tatta tatta vipassati. That's what he started doing. What did he do? Whatever is in the past, they belong to the past. Only when you are thinking of it right now, it becomes your present experience. Whatever is about the future, only when you are thinking of it right now, it comes into your present experience. So when both the past and the future are abandoned by you, the illusions of it are abandoned by you, what is present with you is pachupanam Dhamma. Whatever the experience, Dhamma is the experience, the truth here, that is happening right now, in this very moment. And you see it in samahite citte, in the mind that is concentrated. Samahite citte dhammam patubhavanti. In the mind well settled, you start to see the reality as it is, as it happens. And the gap between the expectation and reality becomes thinner and thinner, and mindfulness, right mindfulness, becomes the key to enter to reality. When I taught mindfulness to kids the other day, he said, my father is always looking for his lost car keys because he doesn't have mindfulness. Because so kids think Dhamma is something that tells you to come to right mindfulness, come to remember things. But if you are actually seeing any experience you are having right now, It's like seeing the truth. The Buddha said, within this very body, you start seeing the Dhamma, the origin of dukkha, origin of suffering, and also the cessation of suffering. How do you see that right now? Imagine someone has controlling nature in their mind, and then you happen to be with them in your life. When you are being controlled, how do you treat yourself? You feel that somebody is treating you that way. How do you really take it? It's just a thought in your own experience of the world. How does the thought come into being? You analyze. This is the way of a real Buddhist. You start to analyze. When you start analyzing, you see, oh, you were conscious on that thought, and you didn't realize that that thought disappeared in the moment when you start seeing something. So when the seeing experience happens, the thinking experience disappears. A Buddhist is able to see that thinking disappeared, the cessation happened, and the seeing appeared. Most people are not able to see the cessation. They only see something always arising. The experiencing arising only in them. You don't see the cessation happening. When you start seeing the cessation also happening of the experience, you stop calling it you stop calling it kusala, you stop calling it anyone. It's just seeing happened and vanished, and hearing happened and vanished. All these conscious moments, mind moments happen and they vanish. It's like a flickering of a light bulb. You don't see that in order to give light, it burns millions of times in a moment, and you don't even see it because our human eye is not able to see and grasp it. That's why Dhamma chakku, Dhamma eye is needed for you to pause, still your mind, and see the cessation also is happening right here, right at this moment. When the ascetic Gautama started seeing the Dhamma this way, he stopped labeling it as Gautama or anything. It's just the truth, the way the experience happens. It doesn't have to worry you. And it's giving you the bigger message that no matter what happens, you don't have to bear something that is dukkha, something that is difficult to bear. Dukkha is something that is difficult to bear. You don't even have to hold on to something that is easy to bear, that is called sukha. All you have to do is to come to the reality, to the truth. In there, you see just equanimity taking place. The truth, acceptance, knowing that, in a human life, aging and death, getting sick, blaming, praising, all of that happens. And only when you internalize it, it becomes a thing that happens to you. When you remove I, me, myself from your language, you start saying, oh, it is thinking, it is eating, it is happening. You start, seeing the world in a slightly different way. But that is a little weird. Nobody can talk in the conventional world like that. You have to use I, me, myself language. But that is the conventional truth. The absolute truth tells that, oh, there is no actual past, there is no actual future. All that you think as past or future is happening now. It's like when you think of your mother exists. Other times she doesn't exist. In the same way, your mind creates an ear to hear something. Other times it's just inactive. Your mind creates an eye to be able to see something. Other times it doesn't exist.